Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular board meeting for Sunrise School Division Board of Trustees for October the 7th. We're going to call our meeting to order, and we're calling our meeting to order at 7:02. We're going to have O Canada. Please stand if you can do so. So, Jen, I think that was Oakbank Elementary, the grade 5 recorder club. Thanks very much for going ahead and doing that. I'm going to have a treaty acknowledgement. I've asked Trustee Dent to read out our treaty acknowledgement, please.
We acknowledge the traditional land upon which Sunrise School Division resides as Treaty 1 territory. We honor our partnership with Canada's original peoples and respect the gifts of Indigenous history, culture, and language. We commit to moving forward in partnership with our communities in the spirit of collaboration and reconciliation.
Thanks, Trustee Dent. For the people that are watching online, I'm going to make some introductions around the room. We have Superintendent Reid. We have Secretary Treasurer Thiessen. We have Assistant Superintendent Feelberg. We have Trustee Rowland, Trustee Smith, Trustee Wilson, Trustee Nickel, Trustee Rowan, Trustee Boytson, Trustee Dent. We have our board support, Jennifer Baker. Actually, she's Trevor's secretary, just helping us out tonight. And we have Trustee Harris. In the room as well, we have Jason Ziprick, our transportation manager. And we have Chris Klemchuk from Centennial School. And we have Serena Kloss, our STA president, that are here that are going to make some presentations to us a little bit later. We're going to move on to the adoption of the agenda. Be it resolved, the board approve the agenda. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Nickel and seconded by Trustee Rowan. Any questions to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll vote. Right now is that while Jen is taking a look at it, we'll just vote by hand and just to make sure that we're good. So all those in favor, hands. So it passed 9-0. Thank you for that. We're going to move to the chair's comments. So remember that if you have any questions, please send your questions to jody.thiessen@sunrisesd.ca. Put your name and address in the sender and we'll try to get to your questions. Well, we will get to your questions during the question period at the end. Share a story. So I'm going to open it up to trustees about sharing a story. Trustee Dent.
Yeah, I got a few things. One is the LifeWorks course offered at SCI. So I've been approached by a couple of businesses that I've been since chatting with, and the linkages that the LifeWorks course has made with our community is fantastic. And a lot of that success should be attributed to Dave McLean, who's been running the LifeWorks course and kind of continuing to gain steam. So thank you very much. Also, I was able to attend a soccer tournament held at Gillis School on September 25th. It was a great day, and Not too much troublesome weather. So many faces were on the, many smiles were on the faces of the soccer players, but also the students that had the opportunity to watch and cheer on their classmates. Thank you for the pack that was out there also running a concession. Dugald Esports does it again on October the 1st. Dugald Esports kicked off, so there were more than a couple of dozen kids in their esports lab supporting each other and laughing while playing Rocket League after school, so I was able to jump in on that. So special thanks to Nathan Copeland, Ryan Arabi, and Jody Cragen. And then also, I wanted to share something that was shared with me at our PAC meeting at SCI. So SCI this year, or last year, did something a little bit different to honor some of their students that had made honor roll. So honor roll is no course less than 65% and an average of 80% or greater. They went around to the classrooms to hand out a certificate to the kids. I think it was a certificate. So just the numbers were astounding to me. Grade 9, there was 43 that had made honor roll. Grade 10, 50. Grade 11, 32 for a total of 125 students. And then there was also the honor roll with extinction. So this is no class less than 80%. And we had 46 grade 9s, 33 grade 10s, 26 grade 11s for 105 students. So in total of both honor roll lists, we had 230 students. So I just thought that was tremendous work by the students and by the staff that are supporting the students. So well done to all those at SCI.
Thanks, Trustee Dent. Anyone else? Trustee Nicol?
In Whitmore School, they held Indigenous Day the day before, September 30th, for the grade K to 6, where each class got to be part of a banner-making experience, as well as Indigenous games and Indigenous art. Also, the grade 5 to 9 students went to Moongate for Indigenous teaching and part for Truth and Reconciliation. And on October 14th, we'll be holding assembly. They'll be holding assembly to celebrate last year's honor roll students.
Thanks, Trustee Nicol. Anyone else? Trustee Smith?
I just wanted to give a quick thank you out to Principal George Walder of the Bridestone Colony. The students of the Springwell School made a book of their very own over the last year called If You're Not From Bridestone Colony. A few of the other trustees and myself attended their school, and the students read out the pages that they wrote themselves at the school. And after they read out their book, they gave us a tour of their colony and the different facilities within, including the tunnels underneath, and their church, and their laundry facilities, and everywhere around. And the students themselves gave the tour, and they're very, very passionate of their home, and it was a very well done book presentation and tour of their facilities. It was a very enjoyable presentation. And one other thing I want to share is there is a PAC meeting at the Beaujeu Early Years School coming up on the 15th of October at 7 p.m. So hopefully we can get some new families out there. That's all I have myself.
Thank you, Trustee Smith. Anyone else? Trustee Boyton?
Just that Anola School Parent Advisory Council AGM will be held on Wednesday, October 15th at 7. And the positions they're looking to fill are a chair, secretary, and possibly a vice chair.
Anyone else? I'm going to share a couple things. Last night I got to go to mascot bingo at Powerview School. Good turnout from parents. Basically, it's a bingo that they used, and last night they were raising it for funds for the drama class. And they give out food hampers as prizes. It was well turned out, and some of the kids are volunteered and dressed up in the mascots. Poverty School is divided up into 4 houses, and the mascots are used for a variety of different things. Anyway, so they call it a mascot bingo, and it was great to see. Lots of things going on at Poverty School. Kudos to the staff for the work that's going on. Canteen's been refurbished. They have a nice community space. Anyways, it's Neil, right? Neil, last name Harrison, our new maintenance guy, has done some really good work. So kudos to him for the work that he did. And then, again, not only in Powerby School, but in all of our school, you know, the schools have hit the ground running, certainly with activities that are going on. Trustee Dent talked about them, you know, and some of the things that are going on in schools with our teachers involved. And thanks very much for the work that we're doing early on with our kids. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you for that. So now we have our STA contractual report. I'll let you introduce them.
Yeah, Paul's already, you know, welcomed them, so we're just going to reintroduce and re-welcome Serena Kloss, our STA president, and Chris Klimchuk, our professional development chair. So, welcome.
Okay, that's the most trickiest, although I really don't think I need it, but okay. So you can actually scroll all the way down to the bottom. I believe there's like, yeah, keep going until you get challenges and recommendations. Perfect. So that just gives you an overview of the topics that we're going to be discussing here tonight. Many of you will have heard this presentation a few times already, and so I'm not going to go over everything in detail, but for sure if you have any questions, fire away at the end. So on the next page, it's the rationale for the Professional Development Committee and the fund. And so it's to fulfill professional learning plans, to support students' needs for professional growth, for learning objectives, learning new techniques, developing and enhancing qualifications, and enhancing learning opportunities. So the overview of the committee on the next slide. One more. Oh, nope, that's it. So there's two names that you'll hear. You'll hear the Contractual Professional Development Fund, and you'll also hear me refer to it as the PD Fund. It's the same exact thing. So the PD Fund was established in 2018 and 2022 collective bargaining years, and it's where agreement between the division and the association came up with $120,000 to have in this fund that is administered by the Sunrise Teachers Association, and it's to assist teachers in attending conferences, seminars, webinars, workshops, professional programs, and also to help fund attendance where you're collaborating with other teachers or teacher-initiated professional development activities. It is on a first-come, first-served basis. So once the $120,000 is gone, then we will start denying unless there's extra money somewhere. But at that point, I will start denying. And so on the next page, the funding criteria. And so when we look through each and every application, we look to see, does this meet divisional goals, school goals, the teacher learning plans, or the teaching assignment? And there are oversights to this process as well. So all applications must be approved by the principal or their superintendent. And then the PD committee will review each and every application as well. So talking about the PD committee, what is it? Who are we? How many people? We can have up to 5 people on this committee. It is the president of the association, myself, and then our chair, which is Chris. We can have up to 3 additional members as well, and we review each and every application that comes through. So the duties and responsibilities, it's just to ensure that the PD functions as outlined as per the collective agreement, and that we review and make decisions on individual claims, and we report the activity on what's been happening, which is what we're doing tonight. We also meet from time to time to go through our guidelines and make any sort of recommendations as to what we want to change in our guidelines if there is something that we're noticing needs to be corrected or fixed. So the meat and the potatoes, here are the numbers. I used to hate data, but I love the data now. I'm a very data-driven person. So we have two different areas where we can give out money, and that's called in-province and out-of-province. So if you're applying for an in-province PD, that's anything that's happening inside the province of Manitoba, where teachers can claim up to $650. We do give an additional $250 if a teacher needs a sub to attend this PD. If it's an out-of-town PD, then that means anything out of the province of Manitoba. The STA does allow up to $1,650 for teachers to access, plus 3 days for subs, again, if the teacher needs a sub in order to attend that PD. We also are allowing teachers to attend university, so if they need extra assistance to increase their education for university courses, they're allowed $650 for that year. And then some teachers like to buy resource materials for their classroom, so we allow $100 for that. So here are the numbers. Last year we had 129 applications. We had 2 cancellations. We did have 28 claims so far that have gone unsubmitted. And if you break down all of the 120 by category, locally within Manitoba we had 74. We had 1 PD resource, we had out of province 5, we had international 8, we had university 39, and then again the 2 cancellations. So the trends haven't really changed in the last couple of years. Still, teachers are accessing money to attend university, to get some trauma, mental health, wellness, conferences, literacy, technology. And then on the next slide, if we look at the financial report over the last couple of years, you can kind of see where we've been sitting. But if we specifically look at last year, we allotted $21,149 to the MTSPD day. And again, it's coming up really shortly again. We committed to $82,647 that we committed to. We paid out $63,815, so we spent a total of $84,965. Now this isn't obviously the $120,000 that the fund does have, but we could have spent a little bit more there for anyone that wanted to attend a PD. So if there are any teachers listening, you know, get your application in. So challenges and recommendations, there is one correction I want to make on this slide, and that's the very first line where it says guidelines were not followed by many. It shouldn't say many, it should say some. So that's where we did make the biggest increase in changes over this last year. When I presented to you last year, it was very, very challenging, where we had a lot that weren't followed, and this year we really made sure that teachers knew how to fill out these forms, and so that was corrected, which was great to see. The biggest thing this year, though, is the late claims. So we're getting a few late claims coming in. So our guidelines do say, you know, they have to be in by the 30th of June, and after you attend a PD, that you are supposed to be submitting these claims in within 30 days. So recommendation is tighter guidelines on reimbursement. So oddly enough, we actually met today and we made some recommendations that I will be presenting to our council to try and fix this problem now. So one thing that we really wanted to hone in on was if you attended an out-of-province PD, you need to submit a report to myself or Chris, which then we will put into our website and I can present to you next year on. And if you want to get reimbursed, your $1,650, so your $1,650, you got to get that report in, or else you're not going to get reimbursed for it. So I'm assuming that that recommendation is going to go through, just so we can have a little bit more accountability, because that's important. We want to make sure that we're getting the bang for our buck. So that is it.
Thank you, Serena. Are there any questions for Serena? before I ask her a whole bunch. Now, thank you for going ahead and doing this, Serena. Yeah, there's probably two questions that I'm going to go ahead and ask. When we budget and we see that somebody doesn't spend it, we don't usually try to give them back the same budget. Now, I know it's a contract thing, but when you're consistently not spending it, we're kind of wondering why. It's a great opportunity for teachers. So the message I'm trying to send is you've got a lot of money for teachers to go ahead and do some great learning, but you're not spending it. So why should you have it? And yes, it's in the contract, but we're kind of wondering, you know what, if it's there, go ahead.
Hey, we're going to
Tag team this one.
Yeah. So yeah, well, first of all, I'm a stickler for collective agreements. That's why I'm doing this job. So yeah, it is in the collective agreement. We're not going to, waver past the 120. I'll take, 130, 140 if you're going to give it to me. But the biggest thing, and you might have run into this as well, I'm hearing from a lot of teachers that it's challenging right now to go on a PD because there's not enough subs. And there's not enough certified subs, let alone subs. And so the members that are talking to me, it's, yes, we want to do this, but if we do this, Serena, you do realize I'm leaving my colleagues in my classroom, or in my school, short a teacher. And so then, period 1, you're picking up my period 1. Period 2, you're picking up period 2. Period 3, period 4, period 5. So they're very cognizant of that, putting that pressure on a system that is already weak in that aspect. So I'm hammering down, it's your professional duty to go, and it's also the duty of the school division to find a sub. But now we'll let Chris take over.
I think the lack of subs is a huge issue, but also the economics, the finances. PD is more expensive than it ever has been before. So many times the $650 that we offer for in-province and the $1,650 definitely that we offer for out-of-province does not cover what the teacher is out of pocket for. So if they choose to take a PD, if they choose to attend PD, sometimes it's at a financial loss to them, even though we are reimbursing them a certain amount as well. So that's something that as an STA, as the union, we need to also address as well, that maybe we need to look at reevaluating how much we're reimbursing our teachers as well.
Yeah, so if you're using that rationale, you control how much money you give, and now you're saying is that teachers aren't going because you're not giving them enough and you're not spending it all. So that doesn't make sense to me, but I hear you that if you're going to go ahead and look to reevaluate what you're doing, because obviously it's in there, it's been negotiated into the contract, and again, we want to see as much learning as going on as possible. So if there's barriers about it, then I think that you need to look at how you're addressing that for sure in the future.
So we actually, Chris couldn't make it today because of other obligations, but that was one thing that we did discuss too as well, is do we increase the amount available? And so I do think that we're going to be successful in providing that opportunity to teachers to have a little bit more in order to make it financially feasible.
Yeah.
Last loaded question that I've got, and I see Alicia Trustee Smith has one. How do we know it's working? How do we know that there's learning going on and that it's money well spent? Don't get me wrong, I believe that PD is good, but how do we know?
I think the first thing you need to do is ask the principals in the buildings. Teachers are coming back from PD with new ideas, fresh perspectives, new outlooks on how to integrate different curricula into different activities into their curriculum. I can speak personally for our school at Centennial. A couple of us went to a literacy PD this past spring, had some wonderful ideas that have been proven in other divisions. We came back, we presented it to our principal, we said we'd like to do this, we'd like to set up a structured literacy program in our school. And within a couple of weeks, we had a structured literacy program in place. Our principal was extremely supportive, and he reorganized our scheduling so we could accommodate that programming. And we saw so many successes with that we continued it this year. I think speaking to the people in the buildings, I think you would be pleasantly surprised at how well the teachers use the PD that they're attending and incorporating it into their daily practice.
That's a great to hear, because that's exactly, and don't get me wrong by the questions that I'm asking, but those are the exact things that we're looking at trying to hear from you, is about the success story then of what just went on, because we are kind of wondering, how things are going, and that's a great story for us to hear. Thank you for that. Trustee Smith.
I have a few. You said that there was people who were denied. How often did that happen? Did that happen, and if so, why?
Yeah.
We haven't had to deny anyone for the past 5 years due to lack of funding.
Oh, right.
Just if it were to ever happen that we were reaching that 120,000 limit, we would have to.
Yeah.
So, what type of course they were going for?
Oh,
no. All the applications that have come through have been great. We did have to deny. Last year, I believe we had to deny one individual because their application was sent in after the PD. So they paid for the PD, they already went on the PD, and then they said they just discovered that they actually could claim for it and then handed in the application after. And everywhere on the website, on the application form, in our PD guidelines, when I go out and do school visits, I very clearly say it has to be in prior to, that's part of our guidelines. And I can't deviate from the guidelines. So it has to be in prior to, it wasn't, and so we had to deny it.
Okay. Is there a max per person? I'm just wondering, is that part of the agreement? If so, like, if you're not getting up to the total, I'm wondering if you could, if it's not in the agreement, it's just a reason why you guys don't. That person, like some people might be, I'll go to all the courses if I can, and then we could get to the max. And then some people are like, I'm never going to go to school, like I'm never going to use that. But other people would go, and then you could get to the amount. Can you maybe do that instead?
Yeah, so the maximum is $650. $650 right now per member to a maximum. That's in our guidelines, STA. Yeah, Sunrise Teachers Association guidelines. Yeah. So we have the contract with the division that $120,000 will be set aside for us to use, and then we have to have guidelines, and that's what we have stipulated. Now we are totally within control of changing the guidelines, and some of the conversations today were suggesting that maybe we up it because you might not get bang for your buck, or your dollars doesn't go as far now as it did before. So what can we do to help make professional learning attainable by as many teachers as possible?
Like for me, like my husband laughs at me because I go to so many courses. I'm like, I go to night school and whatever. He's like, I'm a career student. But for me, it's just because I like learning. So, and like I'm assuming, of course, other teachers would do the same. So it's more like I'm assuming they would go and take more courses just because it would benefit them in their jobs. And they would do it whether they get the reimbursement or not. But of course, it would be great for them if they did, right? So if we can get them more education, I'm sure they would do it too. So if we could change the guidelines and let them go for more education to benefit our schools, then it would also get you to your 120, and then we wouldn't take our money away.
So the last question I have, Serena, and you've got 2 or 3 minutes. You got 9 trustees and the superintendent. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just had a question to clarify. Like, further to your example about how you had your training in your school and it was shared with your principal. So, Serena, are you saying now that people who attend training, that report now might be shared amongst all your like in future, all members would get a copy of that report, all schools would share that information now?
I think the report we were looking at in our guidelines was changing it to the out of province specifically, dealing with 129 potential applications would be overwhelming to have to go through all those reports before we reimbursed. But definitely the 20 out of province is practical.
Any other questions? Serena, you got 2 or 3 minutes now. You got 9 trustees listening to you. You got 2 or 3 minutes. What are you telling the nine trustees with regard to what's the state of affairs?
State of affairs with this PD budget?
No.
With the relationship between the union and the employer?
That could be. You got 2.5 minutes now.
Wow, he's leaving us open? Like that's Well, I already heard that my voicemail was shared amongst trustees a couple meetings ago. So, no, I'm looking forward to doing more activities with the 9 of you, and I think it's Trustee Smith is part of the liaison group. So, is that right? Did I get that right? Yeah. I know, I'm like, please say yes.
Yeah. I have an opportunity here. I'm going to take it. I'm sorry. This is a wonderful division to work for. I'm speaking as boots on the ground. We are grateful for the hard work that goes into running a division like this. As the front line, as the boots on the ground, Serena has already mentioned substitutes, which I think has been an ongoing issue. EAs, we need more in-class supports. We need EAs. We are seeing more and more behaviors than ever before. And as teachers, it's really hard when you have 25, 30 kids in a classroom and 5 behaviors, but no other external supports. To effectively teach and manage those classrooms. I know you go through yearly budgets. I know you budget a salary for EA support. So I don't know what can be done, but as an active teacher with years of experience, I'm seeing this trend, and it's not going down, it's going up. And we could definitely do with some more in-class supports. That's my plea. Thank you.
Yeah, substitute teachers and more supports, and then I think that'll help us get to our goal. Keep in mind, Paul, last year, not like 2 years ago, we got up to 116, so. But yes, we'll get there again, but I think with the help of the supports in the classroom, getting enough subs so teachers actually don't feel guilty about leaving. Because sometimes, we don't want to leave our kids.
So ladies, thanks very much on behalf of the board for presenting and sharing that. It's always great to hear from you. Thanks for, giving us a heads up about certainly boots on the ground conversation. This is all good for us to hear as we move forward, with budgets, that kind of stuff. That's exactly what we're asking for. So thank you very much. We're going to move forward. I'm going to let you introduce Jason.
Thank you. So tonight, not only do we get to hear from STA, but also our manager of the transportation department, Jason Ziprick. So Jason's been with us for a number of years now. He is very busy in the mornings. I can tell because he's also answering the phones when I have to phone in and report somebody's not going to be on the bus. So he's in there late nights, early mornings, working with a great team. And tonight, he's going to give us an update on what's going on in the transportation department.
Okay, well, let's push this back a bit. Thank you for having me. These years go by too fast. We've got to figure something out because it seems like I was just here and it is an entire year later. So I don't know. I don't know what the solution is to that, but thank you for having me. When I chat with my provincial counterparts across the province, and I mentioned that I have the opportunity to present in front of the board, some of them are like, oh, how poor you, and some of them are like, oh man, I wish I could do that. So I cherish this opportunity, so thank you for the chance for me to come and talk about some of the great things we're doing and answer some questions and get ready for another year. Who's working? Okay, there we go. So just as a bit of a up, like that? Okay. So just as a bit of an overview, how about this? More distance? Okay. I'm too loud. So just as a bit of an overview of my team, we operate every day. We are there at 6 in the morning and we don't go home till 5:30, so it is a long day, but that is what it takes to transport 4,000 kids across 2 million kilometers every single year. My team consists of myself. I've got 3 awesome secretaries, a full-time driver trainer, a courier, a shop foreman, and 6 Red Seal certified mechanics. And we have 92 permanent bus drivers and 26 casual spare drivers. And school startup is it is a different beast, right? We are getting those bus routes ready. We are getting buses ready. We are getting logbooks ready. We're getting fuel cards ready. And to say that it is a moving target would be an understatement, because we get the routes ready and students get added, and then we change the route, and then a student gets added, and then we change the route, and more students get added. So we are redoing those routes probably, I am not kidding, probably 10, 15 times we are redoing each of those 100 bus routes. So it is not a one and done, it is probably a 10 and 20 and done, because we can't control when parents roll into the schools and register their child and want transportation. So we just keep adding them, and we keep changing, and we are redoing and redoing and redoing, but that is just what it takes. So, my team, when they're getting a little bit down and a little bit discouraged because they are redoing the same thing over and over again, it is up to me as the leader to build them up and let them know that they're doing an awesome job, and they absolutely did. So hiring of bus drivers, that is probably one of our main challenges. And we did have a pretty good summer. We onboarded seven new bus drivers, and we have one going for a road test tomorrow in Selkirk. So we're hopeful that he will pass. We've got a pretty good success rate on passing, so we're very positive that he's going to do a great job. And then we've got 2 more in line for training in October and November. The need for spares, it just does not stop, right? Just like substitute teachers, substitute bus drivers are in high demand. We have anywhere from 7 to 10 drivers off every single day. So that's what our spare drivers do. So that's why we need so many of them. And thank you for your assistance in launching our new bus driver referral program. That is, we've had a referral program in place for probably close to 5 years, maybe 4 years, and we were paying $300 for everybody who would refer a driver who was hired. We have now increased that to $500, and then an additional $250 if they stay on and drive a certain amount of bus routes, and then another $250 if they're here for, I think it's 6 months. So that is a substantial amount of money, and we are hoping to see some benefits and some dividends from that very, very soon. So every year I do like to report on, the non-eligible students that we are able to accommodate on our bus routes. So this year we had a total of, that number is probably a little bit off because I added a couple more today. So in Oak Bank we had 16 requests and 12 were approved, and then the rest of the numbers are correct. So we're probably thinking we'll still get a few more late applicants in, but on the next slide I'll talk a little bit about our capacity of our actual buses. But you can see at the bottom there, and I'm happy to say that the amount that we've been able to accommodate has gone up year over year, because we do try and make sure that we are we are, even though these folks are not eligible for busing, there are some folks that really do need the opportunity for busing, and we're able to accommodate that. So this slide, I haven't presented a slide like this before, and I think it's something that I'll do every year, and I'll track it so we can see how full our buses actually are. So this is a measure of how full our buses are across different regions. I'm using a seating capacity at 2 students per seat. We do have some routes that have 3 students, but we try to limit that to kids who are in kindergarten to grade 3 or grade 4. They tend to get a little bigger after that, and it gets a little squishy on that seat, especially with snowsuits and backpacks and things like that. So so you will see some of the numbers showing as overcapacity, and that really just means that we have some buses with kids at 3 to a seat. So in Beausejour, overall, our buses are at 84% capacity. Tyndall Garson is the hotspot. It has been the hotspot for a couple of years, and I think we're just going to see that grow and grow. So our buses that bring kids from Beausejour or from Tyndall and Garson to Beausejour, they are full, right? 104%, 79%, 101%, 92%, and 101%. Gillis is another area that is booming. We're at 92% of our buses there, and we're seeing further growth. And the other hotspot would be in Oakbank. The town buses are running pretty hot there as well. So this is something that we'll track over year and watch the growth and watch the areas where we're seeing growth, where we may have to add additional bus routes in those locations. So a bus fleet update. Obviously, a big part of what we do is the actual buses. So we have managed to get 6 of the 7 new buses on the road and into their routes. We've got 1 more that was delivered this week, and we'll have it on the route hopefully by Thursday or Friday of this week. Feedback has been quite positive from the drivers and the students, so that is good. We ordered 5 77 passenger and 2 71 passengers, all gas models. Last year we took 8 buses off the road and added 7. So we are, even-ish. We took 1 more bus off the road today. So I do believe that, my recommendation, and I'm happy to come back to the board closer to budget time, is that we do have to continue with the spend that we've been putting forward the last couple of years. I don't know what the pricing is going to look like. It could go up significantly because of tariffs. I think we kind of snuck in right as our purchase was made in February, and then right after that the tariffs came into effect. So I think we kind of snuck in right under the goal line there with respect to impacts of the tariffs. So I'm curious to see what it's going to look like next year. I can't predict, but I suspect the bus price is going to go up, and it could go up significantly. So just as a point of interest, we now have more route buses powered by gas, propane than diesel, and that certainly helps us with our being able to offer better service in winter, as they do start a lot better. And finally, a school bus inspection. So we haven't had one of these. I'm starting my 6th year in this role, and this is the first inspection that we've had from Manitoba Transport Infrastructure. And talking to my peers across the province, they have started to come out to school divisions again. I think things had stopped quite a bit during COVID, but they are putting some attention back onto school divisions. So a lot of us have had them come out and do an inspection. So they came out last summer, I think it was in July, and sampled 21 of our buses, and overall our buses were in very good state of operation. They found some minor defects on 9 buses, and we were able to fix and repair those basically in a matter of a couple of days. The defects were very small, an exhaust leak, a loose seat cover, a door release, a missing fire extinguisher, very minor things that we're able to fix up in a matter of a couple of days. So thank you to our mechanics and our shop foremen who are, that is a testament to the fact that we do invest a lot of time and energy and passion into making sure that these buses are safe for our students. So that is it, and I look forward to any questions that you might have.
Thanks, Jason. Any questions for Jason? Trustee Rowan?
Thanks for coming and presenting, Jason. I do have a question here. I want to say shortly after I came on as a trustee, you gave a presentation. It might have been in camera, I'm not sure, but at that point you made a recommendation to do the 6 or 7 new buses annually for the next 3 years. And I'm seeing that you're renewing that recommendation. I'm curious to know, are the buses just not seeing the same lifespan that you were seeing in the past if you're renewing this recommendation and we've followed through on that?
I think the fact that we are taking off, you know, some years more buses than we are adding, right, and that just speaks to the age of the buses. We're doing some good catch-up work, right? By no means are we, you know, in as tough state as we were, you know, 4 years ago. So we are kind of crawling out of that hole, and I think we just need to continue with the same investment over the next, you know, two to 3 years, and I think we'll be in a very good spot. Our buses, you know, they don't last. Nothing lasts like they used to, right? Your washing machine now will not last as long as your washing machine did 20 plus years ago. Things don't last as long as they have in the past. The fact that we're driving on gravel roads, you know, those 2 million kilometers are largely all on gravel roads. I think most of you have driven on gravel roads as part of where you live. They're not great, right? They are rough, right? And so when our buses just take an absolute beating as more plastic and softer metals get put into these buses. They don't last when they're being bounced around on the gravel roads. So that's just just how long things are lasting these days.
Thanks, Jason. Yeah, it was nothing to do with, my question had nothing to do with whether or not your crew was keeping up on maintenance and whatnot. I was just curious if the lifespan of a bus was maybe a little bit shorter than we've seen in the past.
Thank you. Any other questions? Trustee Harris? Oh, Trustee Rowan?
Just further to that, like, what is the life expectancy of a bus now, or your estimation?
When we drive so many kilometers on gravel roads, it's going to be different than, you know, a metro school division who is, you know, just on smooth pavement. I am seeing probably, the bus we took off the road today was 20 years old. It was 2006 with almost 400,000 kilometers on it. You know, we are probably going to get 12 to 15 years out of a bus, and then we, you know, we kind of put it into the spare pool where it's not being used every day, right? And it can go on some shorter runs. It's not getting that daily pounding like our route buses are. So probably, you know, 12 to 15 years is what we can expect these days out of a bus, especially for us.
Thank you. Trustee Harris?
Just before my question, as an aside, I think it was last week, several of the board members here had the opportunity to meet with the Springfield folks, and Paul told them to pave all their gravel roads.
Is that a question you're asking?
No, that was an aside.
Okay.
Did they say no? They laughed at us.
So Jason...
I have a question.
Oh, sorry.
That was my aside, sorry. Propane buses. 3 or 4, however many years ago, we brought in a couple of propane buses to test out. Says it's on. How are they working out in terms of costing and the kids loving them and the bus drivers and so on and so on?
I figured somebody might ask that question. So we have a number of propane buses. I think we have 5. They did cost a little bit more to purchase, and at the time I did present to you that we'd save money on fuel, and I just did a fast calculation today, just in preparation for this, just to make sure I had some accurate numbers. And the expectations are ringing true. So right now, a gas bus costs us around 55 cents a kilometer in fuel to run. Propane, we are sitting at 43 cents a kilometer, and diesel is around 69 cents a kilometer. So last year, our propane buses traveled close to 138,000 kilometers. So we saw fuel savings of about $17,000 based on those propane buses. So we are reaching the point where the extra cost is now we've recovered the extra cost of the propane buses. It takes about 3 years to do that, and it's been about 3 years since we've bought a propane bus. So we are now going to be into I would say net savings on fuel coming up towards the end of this school year. And as far as how they operate operate very much the same as a gas bus. It's the same chassis. So they're largely the same weight. They start awesome in winter time. No issues. We played around in the cold weather to not plug a couple in and see if they start, and they start like a charm. They heat very fast. And then there is the green factor, and I think that's an important piece of and something we should be very proud of, and I think we do have to report on that. So I think they are certainly from an emissions perspective a lot better than a diesel, and even better than a gas.
Trustee Rowan?
Just to follow up on that, you mentioned that you're now at a point where the propane buses have recouped any of the additional costs that were associated with their purchase. Does that include the additional costs in setting up the propane fueling station?
Yeah, that was not a huge cost, because the company that we utilize, they didn't charge us a lot of money, obviously, because they're making money on the propane. But I would say that we're well on our way to recovering that cost as well. It was just a few $1,000s.
So back to the propane buses. How many? 5? Were there?
Yes.
I don't know how to ask the question, so I got to come back.
So Jason, roughly $260,000 to buy a bus. 7 buses, about 1.8 million, and you're warning us that the 260,000 price tag that we paid this past year is probably not the same price tag that we're going to pay because of tariffs as we move forward.
I can't predict the price, but we know what everything else is going up, so I think nothing seems to be going down at all, right?
Just a little bit of a heads up as trustees are listening to you is that we spent 1.8 million on buses last year, and we're probably paying a little bit more than 1.8 million if we're going to go ahead and buy those 7 buses as we move forward. Trustee Nicol?
Well, it doesn't matter what happens to the tariff, because as long as the United States doesn't increase the tariff, so as long as Canada doesn't increase the tariff, as long as Canada doesn't increase the tariff, which they don't have, that's why when the United States puts on tariff, the money anything coming into Canada doesn't come more expensive. So we don't have to worry about the tariff as long as the Canadian government doesn't put on the tariff, and I don't think they will.
So we're going to hold Trustee Nicol to saying that our prices are not going to go up on buses and see where things are. Noted, please. Any other questions for Jason? So thanks, Jason, for sharing certainly with us. We appreciate it, and we like having you come on out each year and giving us a little bit of a heads up as to where things are, giving us a little bit of heads up as to where we are with budget and those kind of things. And we're aware that our fleet, part of our fleet is getting old, and what do we need to go ahead and do, because you've provided us some really good information in the past as to how to keep our fleet as up to date as possible. We understand we're in that situation, so thank you.
Any other questions?
No, I think we're good. Thank you very much for doing this.
Awesome. Thank you.
We're going to move on. Thanks, Jason. So we're going to move on to our regular board meeting minutes. 5.1, be it resolved the board adopt our September 16th regular board meeting minutes. I need a moved by trustee Dent and seconded by trustee Wilson. Any questions of those minutes? Hearing none, we can think that we can vote. Let's do this. Good, thank you. It passed 9-0. Thanks, Jen. Superintendent's report, Mr. Reid, the floor is yours.
All right, so a few things to share. Just the last several weeks in the school division. Of course, we had our first SELT meeting here at SEC on September 24th. Great day, heavy day, lots of information on the agenda, some heavy topics. Yeah, bravo to our principals, high level of engagement throughout the day, and worked hard right through the end of the day. I think at the end of the day, we sent some tired principals home after a heavier agenda at one of our SELT meetings. So, coming up on Friday, October 17th, we'll be offering day 2 of the mandatory treaty training. So this will serve as day 1 of some of our non-teaching staff and day 2 for our teaching staff. Training is going to be held here in Beausejour at Edward Schreyer School and at a variety of sites around southeastern Manitoba to get people out and engaged in some activities. I just want to kind of deviate from something that's on the report and tell a little bit of story. When our planning committee, Elena Spence, the program leader team, and our division principals started putting this initiative together last year for day 1 for our teachers, some other initiatives for non-teaching staff, they really wanted to make it authentic as possible. They wanted to, make it experiential and get people out and learning at some different sites. And I said, well, unfortunately, we don't have the budget to do that. And they said, well, what if we just kind of put it together and made it an option? And I said, yeah, we could probably do that, but we do have to offer a session here in Beausejour that would cover people's meals and, transportation to and from. And then it would be a choice for people if they wanted to pursue one of the off-site opportunities. So they structured this and they set it up for approximately 50% off-site, 50% on-site. I was a little bit worried that people would not pursue the off-site opportunities because they had to make their own lunch arrangements and because they had to pay their own mileage to get to those venues. The off-site venues were full 25 minutes after registration opened on registration day. And people just clamored to go to the off-site to the point that those filled up. The planning team approached some of the organizing host sites and asked for more spots. We opened those up. Those went again right away. And I think it's just a great reminder for all of us that speaks to the mindset of our teachers and their professionalism. And when we put a high-quality PD opportunity in front of them, even though they had to make some of those arrangements on their own to take advantage of that, they did it. And so big commitment from our staff, where they had an opportunity to do some quality PD, even though it came out of a little bit of their own pocket, and they took it and they went with the opportunity. So bravo to the teaching staff. So moving on from that one, we did begin the implementation of the provincially mandated early literacy screener. So that involved 3 very full days of training here at Sunrise Education Center. The training was facilitated and planned by our earliest program leader, Natalie Ledee. I think she was, not only was she out of gas by the end of day 3, but she had lost her voice and was using a microphone. So 3 big days for her. So bravo to the training that she put on. And it was very well received. As people were leaving, they were lots of good feedback. They were saying that they were prepared to go back to use the screening tool with their students, and we're looking forward to coming back in November for day 2 of the training. And then just to finish out the reports, provided a variety of some of the meetings and learning opportunities that took place over the last few weeks here at the Education Center. It's a very busy time as we do lots of work with our educators around the division.
Thanks, Mr. Reid. Any questions for him? All Okay. And you've got certainly the Sunrise Treaty Division Treaty Day information out there. That's good. Thanks, Trev. So the board reporting schedule, again, there's the information there. Did you want to talk anything about it? But there's some information. Okay, so any questions on that? 6.2. Okay, hearing none. We'll move to you, Jody, Secretary Treasurer's report.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, I'll just share my screen. I know the report, there's quite a bit of stuff in here, but I'm just going to highlight a few things. One is our maintenance or transportation manager has talked about it, but I wanted to remind everybody that we do have a bus driver referral program. It's an opportunity for not only staff of the division, but also students. So anybody who, divisional staff and students, anybody who can refer someone can earn up to $1,000. So, and within the first few months, they can start collecting the $500 payment. Then there's a $250, and then another $250 after they've enrolled after 6 months. So, so if anybody's out there watching, share it on your social media, share it out there. And the only people who are not eligible for this is myself, superintendent and assistant superintendent. So share away and get some traction. So we'll see. It's a great opportunity to build up our sub list. And sometimes when we have a bus driver who's on our sub list, sometimes they do get full-time permanent position. They may not have planned on doing it, but they actually found that they actually really enjoy doing the job and spending time with the kids, and they like the flexibility of the day. You're not committing a whole day. There's just a section of your time in the morning and the afternoon. So it's a great opportunity. Bus drivers, if you folks are very interested, this is an opportunity too. You can refer some friends to join your team. So, so we've had great success in the past with our referral program, and this time around we're getting a little more aggressive to see if we can get more people to join. The other thing I wanted to point out, on September 29th, we received a letter from Manitoba Education in regards to our daycares. I mentioned possibly at a prior meeting that the project the letter originally looked like it was canceled, but what it was is postponed. So in this letter here, the province has identified that they've kind of shifted gears. They issued a request for service, which kind of just gives a different context of how they're going to go about and get additional consulting services in regarding the design. They are looking at a full costing service of a design, bid, build delivery model. Sometimes sometimes it's all in one, other times it's a design and then they go to tender for construction. So they've looked at different opportunities. Everything closed, the tender closed August 13th, and I'm waiting to hear more information. I've reached out to them already to advise the standalone building at Anola will work for us, but the standalone building that they proposed for Centennial doesn't quite fit the footprint of the school and didn't fit our request for interest. We actually identified an addition to the school because that's where the footprint, where we had land available to expand on our child care facility. What they proposed was a standalone building on the opposite side of the school or the opposite side of the daycare. So that's something we want. We want it to be more coherent and together, like we proposed originally in the request for interest. So those were the two highlights. As more information comes forth, I'll share it with the board. But I know some schools will appreciate this information, and we can freely share it with the schools and members of the PAC and the local municipalities as well if they're interested. And that's it, if anybody has other questions.
Any questions for Jody? Go ahead, Trustee Rowan.
Regarding the interactive displays that have been installed, two parts, I guess. Are they all done for this year? And to be clear, was that part of that all of them part of the cost sharing program that we did as division?
Yes. So all of it is completed for, I guess, last year's request. And yeah, that's all part of the cost sharing additional budget that we put aside last year. And we did another request this September to see who's all interested.
Any other questions for Jody? Thanks, Jody. The next thing, information, menstrual products. Did you want to talk anything about it?
Yeah, it's just for information. I just wanted to let the board know that the program was scheduled to end at the end of the school year. They decided to renew with Shoppers Drug Mart. So schools will be eligible to obtain free menstrual products. And in the report, it just identifies a little bit of the internal process that we put on.
Thank you. Any questions for Jody? Okay, let's keep going. Monthly, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Jody, can you just confirm, are all of our schools that would potentially need these products utilizing them? I've heard from many families and students that the schools are participating in it, that they really appreciate having the products available when they need them.
Yeah, we've had all requests from the schools. Every school does request. It's just some request everything all at once in the beginning of the year, and others request as the months go on. So I can say majority of our schools do. Maybe not our colony schools, or maybe the only exception to that, but all the other schools do.
Anyone else? Thank you. So board business, 8.1 is monthly enrollment. Mr. Reid, did you want to add anything or information? So it's for information. Any questions from anyone? Okay. 8.2 is our grade 1 to 8 report card data. Did you want to add something, please?
Yeah, so a report that should be familiar to the board, of course. You've all seen this report before. It provides the background. The key part is on the page, just in terms of some of the observations. Again, in most categories and grades, we see what we want to see out of student growth throughout the year. Again, the data shows us that 90% or more of our students are at grade level by the end of the school year. Great data for us to have. Sorry, not up here. I did have on the third bullet there that the grade 8 data did not pull correctly from our student information system. Thank you to Jen, who was working, to the end of last week and early this week with ICT, and today she got the correct data from ICT. So the report that I think is now being uploaded to the board of Jen, not there. Might be there, might not be there, but we do have a report with the correct grade 8 data coming very soon if it's not already there. And there were so 3 areas. I don't even think they would be of concern, but curious to have some follow-up with our division principals in school. That's just around the grade 1 writing, grade 6 critical thinking, and grade 6 problem solving. Honestly, I think even flagging those 3, I'm being just a little bit picky. Those were probably the 3 lowest, but again, not concerns, but maybe identifiably a little bit lower areas than others, and so probably worthy of some follow-up. So,
thank you. Any questions for Trevor? So Trevor, the comment that I'm going to make is that in the observations that you have, is that when you're saying that the data is telling us that across all categories, 90% or more of our Sunrise students are at grade level by the end of the school year, that's pretty impressive. So I think that as a board, that's something that I don't know what it's compared to anywhere else, but certainly that's a good mark for us. Obviously, we'd love to be at 100%. I'm not sure that we're going to get there, but 90%, and we're always striving to be better. Nice work overall. Any else comments? Okay. Grade 9 to 12 credit attainment. That's you as well.
So again, some strong data to share with our communities. We see when we look at our credit attainment rate for our high school students, grade 9 through 12, we have very strong, averaging 95% and above really as we go across the various grade levels. We don't have anything necessarily to compare that to because this doesn't come from a provincial data set, but this would be consistent with the provincial, our grad rates, that is a provincial data set that we shared at the last meeting, where we would see that our grad rates are very strong provincially. Well, like I said before, we don't get strong grad rates without strong credit attainment rates, and so that's where we see there. Second chart being from the previous school year, just around, this is a provincial data set for our grade 9 ELA and math students. Their success rate as they take the credits for the first time. Again, you can see strong results. Sunrise students outperform provincial averages in both the achievement of their grade 9 math and grade 9 ELA credits. And we broke the data out as it is a provincial priority to consider data of both our Indigenous and non-Indigenous students. Well, we do see a learning gap between Indigenous and non-Indigenous students in Sunrise. It's not as wide as the gap that exists provincially. So work still to do in Sunrise, but at the same time, I think we can recognize that there must be good work going on in our schools, given the fact that that learning gap that the province has identified as a priority to close, we are already significantly in a better position than our counterparts around the province. So work to be done, but something that I think that we can view as at least a mild success at this point in time.
Comments from anyone? Trevor, I'm going to make a comment again from the provincial data that you have up there to the divisional data, and certainly around Indigenous students. Again, from what we see in the data that you've got there, it's impressive. So again, it's still we still want to close the gap between non-Indigenous and Indigenous students, but certainly the work there is pretty impressive. So kudos. One question that I have: can you explain to the public just when the chart above and you're showing grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, and grade 12 from 95% to 97% in grade 12, can you just explain what it means by credit attainment?
Sure. When we look at all the grade 9 students in the school division, in all of our schools, across all of the courses that those grade 9 students are taking, the credit attainment to the pass rate would be 95.78%. That means roughly that those students, if I round up, have passed 96% of the individual credits that they took as a collective group.
So again, 96% of our kids taking courses and passing courses at the grade 9 level is pretty impressive. So those numbers there, and again, I know they're divisionally, but they are pretty impressive. They differ in schools, but as a division, when we ask, are things working in our kids' learning? It's a pretty good piece of information. Thank you. Continuous improvement plan, Mr. Reed.
We've shared information on the continuous improvement plan with the board last fall and again last spring. And of course, our continuous improvement plan is something that is required by the province of Manitoba. And it identifies the work that we're doing in the divisional priority areas. And so we've got basically our plan to a working draft. Well, it's not, like I say, it's not refined to completion. There's still a little bit of work we need to do with it. We've got it to the point now where we've started to share it with employee groups across the school division. And of course, I've attached a copy for you to have a look at. The important part about this is it provides direction for the work that we're doing. It will determine where we're doing our professional development. It's basically a roadmap of the things that we feel we need to do as a school division to improve student achievement. And so it provides focus for us. And we should always be anchoring back into it in the work that we do when we work with principals, when we work with classroom teachers. We believe that the work in the continuous improvement plan is our best opportunity to improve student learning.
Any questions for Trevor? Comments? Okay. We'll move on. Thanks, Trevor. Teacher evaluations, it's there for information. Go ahead and follow up anything.
Just I've put a a variety of data there, just in terms of teacher evaluations. There was 117 teachers scheduled to be evaluated. We did 106 of those. Put some rationale down there for why the other the 11 were not completed. Going through just some of the other employee groups, bus drivers, we are up to date there. That is sort of provincially mandated, those evaluations, and our transportation department does an excellent job on staying top of those. However, when we get down to other staff in the school divisions, we're probably not as strong there. So doing some background work on this is a little bit of exposure when we talk about our EAs, our librarians, our school secretaries. We have a clear procedure on that, and I don't think that it's one that everybody may be aware of or is even following. There's some instances where we're not evaluating people often enough, and there's some situations where we're evaluating them more frequently than needed. So we'll have to address that. Interesting enough, as I was going through this, I thought I was evaluating the secretary-treasurer every second year. I'm supposed to be doing annually, so we'll be cracking the whip here on the secretary-treasurer. But then it was also very interesting. I found nothing on the evaluation of the assistant superintendent. And so, so I had been told verbally in the past that it was every second year for my senior admin colleagues that I was responsible for, but I found out that the assistant superintendent is not identified any place that I could find, and it's actually annually for the secretary-treasurer. So I did just include some action items about going forward, about reviewing some procedures with our management staff and with our principals, and coming back with some recommendations to the board about the assistant superintendent, and some other action items that you can see there. I don't need to read them all to you.
So thanks, Trev. I think the question is that again from our teachers down, but our staff overall, if there's some areas that you've addressed here about that we need to go ahead and work on so that everybody does get some feedback on a regular system. Can you come back to us once you've got that? Come back to us with it. But kudos to the work of the people that spent it. What did you say? I think it was 106 out of 117. So thanks for doing that, and keep us updated as to where things are. Any questions, Diane?
Just wondering if you're going to be reviewing this to the policy committee for updating some of these policies.
Yeah, we'll probably bring a couple of these back to policy committee for a look. Even though it wouldn't have to bring back GDO, because that being a procedure, that would be under. I typically like to bring some of these back just to keep the policy committee informed. If we're looking at the assistant superintendent position, that would be, I think, belongs in one of the board policy with the comment on with the secretary treasurer and the superintendent. I'm in there as well. So that would guarantee we would bring back to the policy committee because it is a board policy.
Any other questions for Mr. Reid? Thanks for bringing that forward, Diane, about going to the policy committee. Thank you for that. Okay, we're going to move forward. This is about our trustee tours. So as noted here, we have completed touring all of our schools in the cycle that where we are. So the question is that Mr. Reid put down here for and board. Do we want to continue and going back to schools? Comments from staff, from you guys are open. Do we want to move forward with it? Trustee Dent.
I feel satisfied that we've had an opportunity to visit all the sites, so I wouldn't think that would be necessary for this group of trustees, but maybe come after next October, should some of the faces change, maybe that would be an opportunity to kind of reinstate the school tours at that time.
Anyone else? So is that the sentiment then with everyone, is that we don't have to go touring with any further schools? Trustee Smith?
I think unless there's like a significant event that happens at a school, like Bridestone they had something happen, so we went to their school specifically for an event, maybe, but other than that, I don't think we need to go to the school for anything specific.
So I guess what we're taking out of this is that we're not going to ask him to set up any kind of tours unless I think that if there's, sorry, go ahead, Melissa.
I just wanted to mention that policy 5 in our annual planning cycle, we do have tours on here. Now, I'm not saying that I feel that we need to go on tours, but just when we're planning ahead, I know that in years past, we've actually done tours in both the fall and the spring, and we may want to look at just kind of aligning that for the next round of them, which I assume would start after October of next year, to try and align ourselves more with our policy.
Great point, thank you. So I guess the direction that you're getting, Trevor, is that we do not have to go ahead and set up tours. However, if there's, I guess that we probably all would say significant, if there's significant changes or whatever, is that bring it to our attention and we'll let you know. Is that fair with everybody? Okay. Thanks, Mr. Reid. Travel advisory. Why don't you go ahead and speak on that? Yep.
So a bit of a lengthy report, so I'm not going to go through too much of it. I'll, of course, will answer any questions. But yeah, so we're just at the point where Whitemouth School would like to travel to Costa Rica. It was flagged that there is travel advice that was put on the Government of Canada website about traveling to Costa Rica. I've kind of given you the background there on the tour company. They are a reputable tour company that seem to take all reasonable precautions and attend to potential situations. They're licensed. They're a member of several travel organizations. If we believe that gives adds to their reputation or their integrity. I provided to you the different levels of travel advisories or travel advice that the Government of Canada kind of issues there, and then speak specifically to the conditions that are in Costa Rica. It is about crime in Costa Rica, pointing out that the Whitemouth trip does not go to any of the identified areas where violent crime is identified as a concern. Other than that's where they fly in and out of. Also highlighting that I don't think we can use the travel advice level into itself as a filter, because I've also identified dozens of other countries, many of them which our students are traveling to, that actually are under the same level of travel advice, and we've never kind of flagged that before. Just one final piece, I did review this with Leonard Zadrill from MSBA. He's their risk management person, and he thought he was of the same opinion of me, that based on the information that is publicly available, there would be no reason that the board would treat this tour trip any differently and not approve Whitemouth's travel to Costa Rica.
Any comments or questions? Trustee Nicol?
I have a concern still, and the concern I have is, do you know whether they fly over the United States or not? Because if they fly over the United States and the plane has to land for some reason, there might be repercussions if, depending who's on the board from Whitemouth School. Do you know whether they're flying over the United States or whether they go down the coast and go to Costa Rica that way?
I would have to check their flight plans. I don't have that. That would, of course, be on the package that they have provided. I don't know if it would be a direct flight or if it's a connecting flight to a coastal location or whatnot. So that would be something we'd need to follow up on.
So there's a recommendation here, be it resolved that the board approve in principle the Whitemouth school trip to Costa Rica during the spring break 2027, subject to the superintendent's final approval. You would like to move it? Okay, moved by Trustee Nicol, seconded by Trustee Rowland. Any comments to it? Go ahead, comment.
The other thing I would like to bring up is in 2020, when we had the COVID, a number of travel clubs did not get sufficient insurance. And when we canceled it, they lost money. So I think that we should caution them and that make sure they, with what's happening in the world, make sure there can be cancellation insurance so that the students are not out the money.
Sure. I'm going to let Secretary Treasurer Thiessen maybe speak to this a little bit, but one of the things that Leonard Zadil did bring up was he wanted to make sure we were in part of an insurance program that school divisions have the opportunity to purchase into, which name escapes me, so I'm not going to try and make it up. I'll let Secretary Treasurer identify it. But that does come with a very robust cancellation package. And he actually said that the cancellation insurance within that package was so strong that he actually recommends to students in school divisions traveling that they do not take and opt out of the travel insurance with the truer company because the insurance that is through MSBA is actually more robust and better. So
the insurance that we get through MSBA, our package that we opted in, not all school divisions have, but it is to-go insurance. That's what it's called, to-go insurance. And every year we renew it. We share it with all our schools. They are automatically insured. So even if it's a small trip to Moose Jaw or something more local, they're covered. And for cancellation, there's also coverage for, we've had some coverage for passports where they get lost. So it is very robust, and it helps when it comes down to cost. It is a fraction of the cost of what you would buy if you went through the other providers. So financially, it makes more sense, and it kind of takes one piece of the puzzle off of our volunteers in our schools to worry about this cancellation insurance.
Any other questions, any other comments to this motion? Because there's a motion on the floor. Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. Okay, so, all right, so we're going to vote by hand for this motion. All those in favor? So it's carried 9-0. Thank you. The next one is 8.8, the French immersion film products. Kind of, anyways, go ahead.
Just some good news items that I would share. They sort of came to our attention over the course of the fall that a couple of our schools with French immersion programs have been invited to participate in some cool and some unique opportunities. And so Beausejour Early Years is actually going to be the host site of filming of a children's French television show that some of the students will have the opportunity to participate in. And École Dougal was selected to participate in Manitoba Education video highlighting schools that are doing excellent work around their immersion program. So a nice compliment for École Dougal. Some good opportunities for our students to use their French speaking skills.
Good sharing. Thank you for that. Any questions on that or comments? Okay. Snow clearing responsibilities, 8.9. Be it resolved that the proposal 20-25 snow removal services, Beausejour, Enola, Hazel Ridge, and Tyndall locations be awarded for a 3-year period, November the 1st, 2025 through to October the 31st, 2028, with an option to renew for 2 additional years, subject to satisfaction of all general conditions outlined in the RFP. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Boytson, seconded by Trustee Nicol. Any questions to the snow cleaning recommendation? Motion? Hearing none, we'll vote. And it passed 9-0. Thank you for that. QP 4456 Negotiating Committee. Be it resolved that Trustee Magna, Trustee Dent, Trustee Nicol will form the 4456 Negotiating Committee with a chair to be elected from amongst the 3 negotiating reps. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Boyton, seconded by Trustee Rowan. Any questions to it? Hearing none, we'll vote. And it passed 9-0. I'll spell it. It's my pronunciation, Jen. I'll make sure that I get it better. Divisional mileage rate. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees set the divisional mileage rate unchanged at 52 cents per kilometer. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Dent and seconded by Trustee Wilson. Did you want to add any comment to this, Jody?
Yeah, I'll just quickly comment. We do review it annually. I know it's been a while since we increased our rate since 2023. But we do review it. We do compare other school divisions as well, and we're right in the middle compared to all the other school divisions. I would say probably on the high side of the middle, but we're not at the lowest. I think we treat our staff fairly when we're reimbursing their per kilometer.
Any questions for Jody or questions to the motion? Trustee Harris?
In the report, it says that the cost of fuel is just one part of this, not the main reason. However, the cost of fuel is significantly less than it was the last time this was reviewed, 14% down, and yet we're keeping it the same. Why aren't we dropping it even a little bit?
Yeah, because the other considerations are the wear and tear on the vehicle. If you go and replace your tires compared to a couple of years ago, or not even a couple of years ago, a year ago, it's gone up 2 or 3%. So it's not just fuel. That is one component, and I know that's sometimes the big driver, but pun on words there, but other things is the wear and tear on your vehicle. So there's that consideration as well as we look at a couple other, like I said, other school divisions where they're at, and other governing bodies.
Any other comments? Okay, we'll vote. And it passed 9-0. Thank you for that. Sorry. 8.12 ESS ski trip. So be it resolved, the board approve in principle the Edward Schreier School senior year's ski trip to Assisipi Ski Area and Resort, February 23rd to the 25th, 2026, subject to the superintendent's final approval. Moved by Trustee Harris and seconded by Trustee Smith. Any questions to this? Hearing none, we'll vote. Passed 9-0. Thank you. Be it resolved, the board approve in principle the Springfield Middle School Grade 7 band trip to Brandon Music Festival, April 28th and 29th, subject to the superintendent's final approval. Moved by Trustee Rowland, second by Trustee Dent. Diane Rowland and Dustin Dent. I got to get my R's going. Sorry about that. Any questions to this? Hearing none, we'll vote. It passed 9-0. Thank you for that. And that concludes our board business. To 8.4, so our committees. Trustee Rowan with the policy committee. Is there anything that you would, there is information there, but is there anything that you want to talk before we move forward with some of them?
Yeah, so we are bringing notice of motion for a number of policies, but in addition to that, I also just wanted to mention that in reviewing the procedures that we have to review this year, it came to light that there's a discrepancy in the number of procedures that we're reviewing this year versus other years. So we're actually going to be taking a look at BGA-E2, the Divisional Procedures Review. When I did quick math on what we did last year, I think we reviewed 125 policies and procedures, and this year we have 2. So there's quite a difference. So we're going to take a look at procedure BGA-E2 later this year and see if we can even it out a little bit.
So who's not on that committee this year compared to last year as to what it is? There you go. Well, no, great point. Thank you for bringing that forward. So 8.15 is the policy committee meeting minutes. Are there any questions to the meeting minutes? And is there anything, Trustee Rowan, that you would like to bring forward or anything highlight to the meeting minutes?
No, they're there for information.
Any comments for anyone? Okay, thank you. 8.16 is the notice of motion policy number 1, vision, values, and missions. It's there for information. Trustee Rowan, did you want to add anything to that? Any comments from anyone? Okay. Notice of motion policy 2, board of governance model and process. Trustee Rowan, did you want to add anything to that? Any comments for anyone? Notice of motion policy 3, role of the board. Anything, Trustee Rowan? Any comments from anyone? You've had it? And notice of motion policy number 13, board evaluation. Any comments from anyone? Okay, thank you for that. 8.20 is our policy, Trustee Boyson, Finance Committee. Anything that you want to bring forward before we move forward with anything in finance?
Just that the last meeting was September 18th, and the minutes are in the package. I just wanted to note that Finance Department was very busy with the auditors, and thank you, Jody, because you're always right on top of everything, and you keep us in line. And I just wanted to mention that in your packages also is 10.0 is the divisional financial summary that Jody's put tons of information in there, explaining all kinds of things about our budget. And if you have a chance to really go through it, that would be helpful because there's a lot of information in there. And our next meeting is October the 16th.
Thanks, Lorraine. So the minutes are there as you've talked about 8.21. Any questions, Trustee Harris?
In the minutes, it talks about under 7.0 that there's going to be a surplus of a considerable amount, 3.8 million, and that the difference of 184,376 is in question. Yet further on in one of our reports under the divisional financial summary, it says that difference is 276,890. So there's a difference between our minutes and the divisional finance summary report of a considerable amount, $100,000. I presume the minutes numbers is incorrect.
Jody, any comment, or do you need to look into it, or?
Yeah, I'll take a look at it and just see what that's about. I might be referencing a certain section of a report because I know the one financial summary report shows operations not including capital, but I'll double check and verify the minutes.
So can you make sure that we bring it up the next time you get together, Jody, on your Secretary Treasurer's report and bring that forward? Is that okay, Trustee Harris? Okay, thank you. Any other questions on the minutes? Okay. So the check register. 822, be it resolved that the board receive the August 2025 check register, the total amount of checks at $3,205,532.51, viewed on September the 18th by the Finance Committee for information as submitted. Moved by Trustee Boyson and seconded by Trustee Dent. Any questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. Past 9-0, thank you. So 823 is the Education Foundation Committee. We haven't met yet, but we have an upcoming meeting on October the 27th. And just to refresh my memory, who's on this committee? Thank you. So the hand's going up, Trustee Dent and Trustee Wilson and myself. And Jody, is there anything else that you want to add to this?
No, I think October 27th, when we get together, we'll look at the financial statements and start our meeting.
Okay. 8:24, oh, sorry?
Just in relation to that committee, is there a plan, or do you have a timeline of when, like, brochures or information will come out for community utilization?
Yeah, they're, I guess right now we're working on them. We're putting them together in the next couple of weeks. I was hoping to have a version to be reviewed by the committee on the 27th. Yeah.
Which reminds me, which is a great question, is that we had a meeting just before for our DPAC. And one of the presentations, so at our DPAC meeting, one of the presentations for the DPAC meeting will be about how schools and DPACs can access the Education Foundation and what it, how they can access it, what it can do for them, et cetera, et cetera. Did I miss anything, or anybody that was at that meeting, Don or Dustin or Melissa? That's really what, so to give you a heads up, at the DPAC meeting, that was one of the comments that was going to come up that was going to be going out and shared. The other part about the DPAC meeting was so Jody was going to make that presentation, and the other part about the DPAC meeting was that Trevor was going to make a presentation on asking people for, what was it going to be on? Sorry. Yeah, it was, hold on, I got it written down here. Yes, thank you. So it was about, we were asking for the DPAC to give, to share with the board what's the board's board priority on spending where it should be. So we're talking about that, and it's schools, right? So it's not only about the board, it'll be about how schools, where should the schools' priority be about spending, and about parents having, about consultation with parents. I said that right, did I? Okay. Okay, let's keep going. Thank you for that. And then the ad hoc land planning committee update, Trustee Rowan, anything you want to add?
I just wanted to thank the RM of Springfield for coming out, meeting with our trustees and senior admin. We had some good conversation, and it sounds like they're looking forward to continuing these conversations and meeting again at a future date.
Yeah, I really felt that the collaboration with the RM that you'd set up, Trustee Rowan, was working well, and about again us looking together about what we can do with potential of future school, in the Springfield area. So nice work, certainly there. Anybody want to add any other comments to that? Okay. Thank you. Professional development. So we have the Northeast Man Forum reminder that it's October the 20th in Great Falls. And the commitment that we've made, or that we've talked about it, that I've kind of put you into, is a reminder during this time, there's going to be a breakout session. The breakout session will be is that Paul will be with the RM, the town of Powerview, and the RM of Alexander. And we'll be doing some communication back and forth. Lorraine, you'll be, so the Enola Trust, the Springfield trustees will be with the RM of Springfield. Yourself, Alicia, and Robin, you guys are going to be with the RM of Broken Head. You're going to be with the town of Lactabani and the RM of Lactabani. And it's really about us getting a chance to engage with the municipalities, hear from them a little bit about what's working, what's not working. Dawn is going to go ahead and make a presentation at the meeting about why the municipality should continue to collect school taxes. And we've decided that instead of Trevor giving a report about the school division, I'll give a report about the school division. We are going to get that out to you so that you get a little bit of input into kind of what we're going to go ahead and share with the municipalities. But for any of you that are coming out to the Northeast Man Municipal Forum, that is what we've agreed to, and so if I put you in a bad spot, well, you're doing it so. Well, we all said that we were going to go ahead and do that and about engagement, so that is part of it. Yes, sir.
Also, just a reminder, on that same day is Art Speak at Camp Cedarwood, so it might be an opportunity, being that most of us will be kind of 3/4 of the way there, to pop in to see what's going on at Camp Cedarwood. I think, is it? Do I not have that right? Yeah. I got nervous here. I had to fact check myself, but no, it is on the 20th.
Okay, so there's a couple of other professional development dates. There's a number of people that are attending the White Shell Regional Gathering. There's some of you that are attending that. MSBA, a reminder, on the November the 8th, and the list goes.
Just want to remind the trustees, there were about 3, I chatted with Sarah this afternoon, there was about 3 trustees that needed to get back to her. They weren't sure, or they responded that it's tentative, so they haven't confirmed yet. So if you are one of those trustees about the November 8th or the November 24th PD, those are the ones that she'd like to hear feedback from. And if you want, you can let me know, and I'll make sure we have you either registered or not registered. So she said there was 3.
Thank you for that. So that's about our PD divisional financial summary report. Trustee Boyton, you're absolutely right. It's a really good report that's put together, and whether Jody and our finance committee certainly share and get that. Nice work, Jody. If there's any questions on that, if you haven't got a chance, it is a good read and some really good information. Did you want to make any further comments on it?
No, I have nothing further. It just explains, it sounds like we have a great big surplus, but it explains why. In some areas we were over budget, some we were under. We got some extra money that we weren't counting on. And, I know when we were talking, when the province was negotiating for the teachers, we sat at our meetings with Manitoba School Boards Association, and we were all like, what are we doing? How much are we budgeting? Because we had no idea. So we were, nervous because some divisions were budgeting way more than us, and you don't know where to go. They didn't know where to go. So I think we, Jody, you guided us, and I think we made some good choices, and some of the money came in under what we expected. So it was good. We weren't short, but we've got here today. We have some buses that we have to buy. So the money will be going to something good for sure.
In the back of my mind, I was just going to ching $2 million on 7 buses is not too far off the corner. And so I look at people's faces, and I hate talking about buses, but it's a fact, right? It's a fact for us as to where we are. So thank you for that. Trustee Rowland.
Just, how did, I think it was at the end of last year, we had the deficit because we had to pay out, I believe, contractual obligation earlier than expected, so we ended up in a deficit position, with our teachers' contract. And so, how does that play into our surplus today, now? Because that was contract was settled in the summer of 2024, I believe, and we had to pay out retro, and it made us go down, and now we have more. And just wondering how that, I think it was 1.8 million or something that was over.
Yeah, so I don't know the specifics of what the exact retro we calculated, but it was all down to timing. So we set our budget in March, so March of 24. We set it for 24-25. In June of, or actually it was August, September of 24, while our 23-24 books were open, we actually expensed the pay, or we expensed the accrual. So that showed that, yes, we ran a deficit the prior school year because we expensed those retro calculations. But in March of 24, we didn't know when we were actually paying for it. We don't know when those things were going to happen and how much are we going to budget. We didn't know the settlements that we were going to do or the future salaries. So in the calculation for 24-25, there was consideration for some retro, and there was consideration for the impact of these potential contract increases. We knew that, or anticipated, I think somebody who's fair and reasonable would expect that salaries are going to be going up, so we're going to budget for them. So in the 23-24 budget, we accrued the expenses, but didn't realize by how much we needed to. So this budget for 23-24 showed a deficit based on the accruals for the retro, but then that retro didn't get carried forward anymore because it was in a prior year. So that was anticipated though in the 24-25 budget year. So then we ended up with the surplus. So there's an anticipation of, yes, we anticipated retro, but it was reflected in our prior year. And we also anticipated that there are going to be bigger impacts to the budget. So other things in the collective agreement that we were seeing too is we anticipated bigger impacts in the benefits, and those weren't as coming true. It just didn't happen that way. So that was an impact. So yeah, it came down to timing. So expensing things in other prior years and actually paying out at a different time, but anticipating. So it's a complicated thing. Yeah.
Yes, it does sound complicating, but I guess to summarize that would have had a larger impact as to the surplus that we ended up carrying here, although I didn't explicitly see the comments about the prior payment falling in. But I think, or maybe it wasn't as clearly stated to me, but I just wanted to be sure that is also a large part of our surplus was unrecognized expense.
So it's involved in the summary of based on actual teacher salaries were less than budgeted. So it kind of encompassed on that specific line.
Anyone else? Okay. So the rest of the stuff, thank you for putting this together about nice to know information. Jody, do we have any questions from the public?
Yeah, seeing none.
And do we have any questions from the gallery? Okay, we do not have to move back into in-camera, so I would say that, we do, for one quick thing, right? So, but we're done here, so we're adjourned? Right on. We're adjourned and we'll do it very quickly.